Well, there's people who they come to me all the time and they say, Jared, you are so lucky. I wish I could get rid of social media. I wish I could get rid of it. Well, you can. You can. And I always tell people that when they come to me and say, Jared, I wish I could just get rid of all of it and not be known to anybody anymore, but still keep in touch with you or whatever, keep in touch with certain people, certain individuals. You can. I've done that. I've taken that stance. I don't. I mean, when I was on Facebook, I was known to a lot of people, whether good or bad. Um, but that, when you speak the truth and when you are a representative, when you put yourself in that position of representing or being a voice for someone who or for a group of people, when they're the minority, um, yeah, I want to be someone from the minority group representing the minority, speaking from experience, and that, of course, would be the childhood cancer community, um, given the fact that I was directly affected by it. Now, I love social media because of a lot of reasons. There's a whole plethora of reasons that I left social media. The main reason, and it has nothing to do with gossip or anything like that, it's the fact that, I was on Facebook for 7 years. 7 years. And I just got tired of the idea that, you know, it's rather unsocial to be spending so much time on a platform talking to people than it is if you actually text them, call them, email them, write them a letter in the snail mail, or, in fact, engage in conversation physically, meet up somewhere, which I would prefer. I'm a very gregarious person, and that, is very hard to believe considering the fact that I used to be one of the most shyest people in the world. Um, I always kept to myself. I never talked to anybody. I was very shy, um, but now I'm very gregarious, and so I enjoy the company. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy meeting up with people, having discussions, engaging in conversation with people. That's now it's like my thing. I enjoy talking to people in public. I love it. I enjoy it. Um, and it's not a narcissistic thing to say. I'm social now. I'm a sociable person now, and I never used to be like that. When I was 15, 16 years old, I kept to myself. And mind you, when I was 15 and 16 years old, Facebook wasn't even out yet. So, it was a different time even for me as a teenager, and I'm only 31 now. But as I was growing up, we didn't have Facebook. And people knew people knew how to communicate. We didn't have Facebook or Twitter or any of the shit back then that we do now. People actually preferred going over to people's houses or calling on the phone and saying, "Hey, let's meet up. Let's go out for dinner somewhere. Let's go bowling. Let's go catch a movie. Let's go do something." And we would meet up. Now, when I was growing up, and I grew up with my cousins, we used to have what's called family days. Now, my aunt and uncle, my cousins, they used to live in Saginaw, and we would go to Saginaw quite a bit, and because you could afford to fill up your car back then. And this was like 1991, 92, when I was only 5 or 6 years old, and you could afford to travel. Gas wasn't so much back then. Um, Even then, it was rather cheap compared to nowadays. But we would have what's called family days, and we would so much as go out for dinner. We would go to go to the movies. We would check out the latest flick. We would just hang out. We would get together for New Year's and Christmas and Thanksgiving. We used to do everything together because I was still a kid. My cousins were still kids. We all grew up together. It was a great big family fun time. I was very close with my cousins. Very close. But now everybody in this new age, they've got social media, they've got smartphones, they've got this, they've got that. And what happened was not only do people grow up and grow apart, but it has also taken away that physical and social element Because when I'm out in the real world, I want to engage in conversation. I look in people's eyes when I talk. And I used to be the kind of kid that, when I talk to you, I don't look directly at you, I look down. It's not good social skills, and I worked on that as long as I could until I finally mastered how to do that. Now when I engage in conversation with people in public, I look directly in their eyes when I speak to them. And that, for me, was a plus. That's social skills. Those are people skills. Now that we have social media, people don't know how to do that anymore. It's like, the worst thing that could have ever came about with the social media craze is the fact that it is a perceived virtual reality of someone's life. I can guarantee you, and this goes for anybody who uses social media, and this isn't a put down to my friends who use it, because I love my friends dearly. And yes, if it wasn't for Facebook, or even Twitter, I wouldn't have come to know so many people. I wouldn't have gotten so many friends, whether they be families affected by pediatric cancer or people in the entertainment industry, if you can believe that. That's probably the only best thing that could have ever happened for me with social media, is actually having physical, conversations like over the phone, through text message, email, that kind of thing. But for anything else, it has killed our social skills. It's irreparable what has happened to this generation. And the kids that are born into this kind of thing, they have no idea how to engage in conversation between them and another person. They don't know how to engage. They don't know what it's like to have to actually look into somebody's eyes when they're talking, and to actually pay attention when someone speaks to them, and not have their phone in front of their noses and they're doing that little thing with their thumbs all the time, I always encourage it. I encourage it. If people want to leave Facebook and Twitter and all this other stuff, get rid of it. You don't need social media. There's just no need for it. You don't need it. Get back to the basics of life. Accept reality for what it is. You know what? This is Facebook, and the people who are sitting behind profiles, they put out certain bits and pieces of their lives that they want you to think is good. It's a false perception of their life. Everybody has skeletons in their closet, and I will admit, you shouldn't put personal things on social media. However, there are a lot of people who get publicly blasted, which I think is childish. I think it is uncalled for, unless, of course, that certain thing that the person is being put on blast for has something to do with a person's safety, that they should be concerned about, then yes. But people constantly, when I had Facebook, and I was with Facebook for 7 years, people had constantly put bits and pieces of their private lives. People have put me on public blast on Facebook, and they probably still do, as far as I know. I have no clue. I'm not on Facebook anymore. Ignorance is bliss. If I don't have to be there to see it, I don't give a damn either way. But social media has taken away so much from humanity, because with Facebook, you're able to set up walls and boundaries. It divides people more than it brings people together, and I think that is one of my other biggest issues that I have with social media of any kind, not just Facebook, but any particular kind of social media. It is not good for people. And if you have ever considered, if it's even just zipped through your mind like a shooting star, like, oh, I should get rid of Facebook, do it. I encourage it. Don't stick around. Don't make your life more miserable, because if you feel miserable on social media, then why do you have it? Get rid of it. Add value to your own life, and I understand that, it's hard, because you always want to seek the opinions of your peers, and that can be very destructive. It's crippling, But the thing about that too is, if you get rid of social media, they're going to wonder what happened to you, in which case they're going to want to call you. They're going to want to get a hold of you. They're going to want to talk to you. in some way, somehow, shape, or form, they're going to want to know how you're doing and what you're up to. Um, but Facebook it is not good for people at all, and I would encourage people to get rid of it. If you really want to talk to people, then go out into the world, meet, have a physical meeting, engage in physical not confrontation, engage in physical conversation. I hope it doesn't escalate into confrontation, but Facebook is confrontation central. It's drama central. And that when people say to me, there's just so much drama on Facebook, I just don't want to deal with the drama. Hello? You've been on Facebook for this long and you're just now finding out that Facebook is Grand Central Station for drama and confrontation and putting people on public blast? It's like, wow, you just now caught on? But it's one of the main reasons I got rid of Facebook, because there's just, and yeah, a part of it has to do with all of the crap that was going on, rumors going around and such. And like I said, I can imagine there still are rumors going on. I'm not there to defend myself, which, of course, makes it a perfect opportunity for those people to continue shooting off at the mouth. And which is one of the main reasons why I do the weekly video updates every Sunday on my YouTube channel, because I want to show people or tell people how I'm doing. In spite of anything good or bad, I want to just put it out there. And some things have to be kept private. But the thing is you can see me, you can hear my voice. I'm not just a Facebook post anymore. I'm not just a profile, because really that's what people are now. We're just profiles. We're not people anymore. The whole idea of a profile had taken away from who and what we are. People. We're not people anymore. And people, when they ask me now, well, you don't have Facebook anymore? No. Wow, everybody has Facebook. Well, hey, I'm not everybody. I'm me. And I got rid of it. Has it made my life better? I guess in some degree it has, because I still have my YouTube channel and I'm still very outspoken about issues, especially in the pediatric cancer community. But I'm very outspoken about a lot of things. And while I may not use people's names, I try to refrain from using names. I don't want to get sued, and trust me, I've already been threatened to be sued by people. My thing is, and will always be, is the connections that I had with people on Facebook, especially those in the pediatric cancer community. I connected with those people in a way that nobody else could, because I was that kid who had gone through that. I had sustained that part of my life, and I had carried that story with me and reintroduced it back into the community. And the only reason I'd done that, not for notoriety or popularity, but the only reason I'd done it was to provide hope and inspiration to other families, and just to show people that it is possible. I'm living proof of that. I was only 2.5 when I had cancer, and here I'm 31 now, so I've been NED for 28 years. And it's just my way of saying I'm here for you if you need to reach out. And it went downhill from there because of rumors and speculation, and people have been really nasty to me since I left Facebook. Not my friends, of course, but I'm talking people who I used to have connections with, and now they're totally against me. and I speak very openly and candidly about my opposition, who's out there doing illegal things, and he will deny it. But they still revere him. They kiss his ass. They follow him like the Grateful Dead. And it makes me absolutely sick to my stomach because I know what this guy's up to. I know what his, I could almost read him like a book. He loves to have his ego stroked, and Facebook is the one place where people can accomplish that. And he's got his group of cronies, and I so hope they're listening to this, because they are doing exactly what he wants them to do. The truth will come out eventually about him. They're going to see the forest for the trees sooner or later. They're going to find out what he's like, and just recently he got himself into a bit of a quibble because he had said something on Facebook, and I mentioned this in one of my Sunday video updates. I don't know verbatim because I haven't seen a screenshot of the post, but he said something to the tune of, if there are no more treatment options for the kids, then what should be the limit on how much money the parents get in fundraisers, which I found to be absolutely appalling and disgusting. And my response to that is, as I said in that video on Sunday, there is no amount of money ever. When you're talking about a child whose time on earth is limited, when the hours and the minutes and the seconds are winding down for the children, you have to make the absolute most of the time that they have here with us now. And which kind of prompted me to do a recording about life and death. You have to make the best out of the life you have now, because tomorrow isn't promised. You're not going to be here forever. You have to live a life and lead a life that people are going to remember you by, in hopes that the good will outweigh the bad. People make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But when you've made a mistake, you should be open enough to admit when you have done something wrong. That's my phone. I will get to that in a minute. It's terrible that anybody who would say something so egregious and then doesn't have the audacity to say, oh, it was taken out of context. He didn't bother to correct himself, as far as I know. And he may have, and I don't know, I could be wrong. He may have corrected himself. I don't think he did. But in any event, it's wrong to even say something like that. And it should be a clear indication that he has no idea what the hell he's even talking about. Well, if there's no more treatment options, then what should be the limit? And then he got into talking about parents who are abusing the system, milking the system, and the people. I mean, they've come to me and they said, well, it was taken out of context. No, it wasn't. Stop defending him. It was not taken out of context. People read it for what it was. And if he gave any damn about knowing how people are going to react to something like that, he would have gone ahead and made changes to the post. He would have. The thing is when I was on Facebook, anytime I would type out a post, I would type it out. But before I would even click the post button, I would actually reread it. I do that with my poetry. I'll reread the poem. If it's something that I'm satisfied with and I think people will understand, or I'll be able to project my thoughts in a way that people can understand, then I'll go with that. It's the same with a Facebook post. You reread it, and if you think it's appropriate, or if you think it's something that people will understand, then you post it. The thing is, and like I said, I don't know the whole story because I'm not on Facebook anymore, but what I understand is that he didn't bother to say, well, people had taken it out of context. It's the people who kiss his ass are the ones who are defending him, coming at me even, and saying, well, he was making a great point. It was just taken out of context. There is no great point about that. Nothing about that was great. There was no great point to be made about, well, if the child's going to die anyway, then how much money should a parent get in a fundraiser? That is absurd. That is absurd. Okay, so he didn't say it that using those words, but in so many words. If there's no more treatment options, which is a nice way of saying if the kid's going to die anyway, then what's the point of, how much money should a parent really get in a fundraiser if the kid's going to die anyway? That is disgusting to me. And how anybody would defend that makes me even more disgusted. How do you not see that this guy, that should be a testament to you people that he does not know what the hell he's talking about at all. He's never had to watch his own kids go through this kind of stuff. And mind you, when I say that, it is not to discredit any other advocate. Well, this guy isn't an advocate. He's not someone who should be representing anybody. But I don't want to discredit the actual advocates who are actually, they come forth about this. They come out right and say, I was not directly affected by it, but I want to help. And I have friends like that, and I respect them. I have a great deal of respect for them. One of them I talk to almost daily. And she's from Texas, by the way. I don't want to discredit her because she's honest. And other people who are honest, I don't want to discredit them. But this guy is a pompous ass who says some of the most egregious, disgusting shit to people who are already grieving and already having a hard time as it is. When I was on Facebook, I never talked about that. It's not something I would have said. And why is that? Because I understand the journey. I understand the difficulty of childhood cancer. While I don't understand what it's like to bury a child, and my parents certainly don't know what it's like to bury a child, I can relate to the battle itself. And I would have never proposed such an ugly, disgusting statement. And people, which disgusts me even more, the people defend what he says. It's like, are you out of your mind? Well, that's not what he meant. How do you know that's not what he meant? That's what he said. I don't care what he meant. It's what he said. It's wrong. I would have never, wow. I've been raising awareness to pediatric cancer since 2013, 2014. I've been doing this a long time. Facebook is not good for people. And the thing is when I speak out against him at any given point in time, the people who have been blindsided and manipulated by him and deceived by him, they get their feathers ruffled because how dare you say that about someone who's doing something so wonderful? So, no, he's not wonderful. There's more to him that you just don't see. And that post alone, saying something so just maliciously stupid, that should have been a first clue. It should have been. People don't care. And that's the thing. They turn the other cheek. Well, no, not him. Not him. He's... I can't believe he would say that. I've always supported you, but I can't believe he'd say it. But you know what? That's not what he meant. Are you for real? Come on. And yes, it does piss me off. It does bother me. It gets me riled up because I am sick to death of this guy getting away with being a jerk and saying the most foul, disgusting things to people, parents in particular, whose children are warriors of pediatric cancer. I'm just so sick of that. And he gets a pass each and every single time. Now, and mind you, it's the same group of cronies who will get on the defensive about people who are setting up fake GoFundMe pages to get money. Well, that alone, yes, that disgusts me to no end. It's no different than people who actually steal money from fundraisers or steal the whole damn jar out of the store, which has happened here in Michigan quite a bit, We've had people steal donation jars right out of the store with the money in it. It is no different. And for anybody to say that they know what it is like to watch a child or their own child die from cancer, they could never know what that parent is going through. I couldn't know what the parent's going through. My mom and dad couldn't know what that parent is going through because, I didn't die, obviously. But it puzzles me. It shakes me to my foundation about this whole raising awareness thing, because it's like, and even one of the guys who runs a nonprofit organization here in Michigan, he even told me in person and over the phone, nobody could ever know what a parent goes through until they have gone through it themselves. And he always says, you don't know what I'm thinking or feeling. You don't know what goes through my mind every day, every second that my child is gone. I agree, and I couldn't know. I couldn't possibly know, and I'll be, honest and open about that each and every time. But he is friends with the person, with my opposition, who has already made the claim that he knows what it's like to lose a child. And he tried to use this comparison, he tried to analyze this in a different way. Well, what about the oncologists who administer the chemotherapy to the children? Just because they don't take the radiation or the chemotherapy themselves, they don't know what it's like. But there's a difference there. It's their job. This is around the clock. This is their job, unlike what my opposition has. This is around the clock for them. This is their career. This is their life. Just because they don't take the chemo, it doesn't mean that they don't know how it feels to have to give that to a child. It doesn't mean that they don't know what that is like. That is their job. They're the ones who are being paid to do this. They're not just some driving across the USA type pretending to know everything about pediatric cancer by throwing numbers out there and convincing people that, oh, he's so knowledgeable and so smart and so witty. Yeah, he's smart enough to dupe people into getting their money that he solicits from them, preferably the parents who are grieving and emotional, and that's when he goes in for the kill, just like any con artist or any person who has a predatory state of mind. They see their prey, which would be the parents who are grieving, who are emotional, and that's when he goes in for the kill. And I do not understand how people don't see this. And social media is the perfect platform for him to get his ego stroked. And I know I've gotten off topic about the whole social media thing, but it is without a doubt the one place you can go to get your ego stroked. Now, mind you, I love my friends, the people that I still talk to from social media, because if it wasn't for social media, it wouldn't have brought us together as friends. We wouldn't know who each other was had it not been for that. But the people who follow my opposition and they think he is just the bee's knees, and I talk about this a lot, it drives me absolutely crazy. It gets on my nerves, because the people who actually, they're smarter than this. They don't want to be proven wrong, and they're willing to put their reputation on the line in order to not be proven wrong. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's like these people on Facebook who they put their contact information out there for the public, for anybody to see it, for the world to see it. But when you contact them, they freak out. Well, I don't know you. Okay, but you assume the risk. When you put all of your contact information out there, you assume the risk, and now when someone actually calls you, you get your panties in a twist because, oh, I don't want them contacting me, it freaked me out. Get a life. You're not a victim here. You assume the risk. And, that would be like me if I put my email address or my phone number out there for people to have, and someone contacts me, guess what? I assume the risk. I'm not going to sit and cry foul about how I was victimized by someone who's quote-unquote stalking me. That's bullshit. And I'm not going to play that game with anybody. But see, everybody's a victim, and they hide behind Facebook to indulge in their self-righteousness. Well, I'm a victim of this, and I'm a victim of that, and I need a belly rub and a back massage to make me, to make me feel better, to stroke my ego. It is absolutely, it's disgusting. Grown people acting like children. And the children, the actual children who we're focused on, the pediatric cancer community, the children are more responsible and more mature than these grown-ups. I mean, it is that simple. It's that basic. And people can get mad at me, people are against me. They are. And that's well, I just have to accept that. I have to roll with that. Because anybody who has never said anything that would upset somebody is not being heard. I say things that, sure, it's going to piss a lot of people off. I don't purposely want to piss anybody off, but it's bound to happen. I'm true to myself. I speak my mind. I don't want to hurt anybody because I'm not the hurting type. I don't like to hurt people. But, a lot of things, and I have sat quietly and held my tongue for the longest time, long enough, and I'm done holding my tongue. I'm done being quiet about certain things. And now that I'm coming out and talking about these things publicly, it pisses off the people who kiss the ass of my opposition. They're his cronies or his little flock of followers. It's almost like a cult. They believe in him. I don't know why. And one of the people that I was told, one of the people even mentioned, when he said this about, that there's no more treatment options, how much money should the parents get in fundraisers, there's actually someone on there who had made the point of, how are you driving across America in a truck decorated with ribbons? How are you helping? How is that beneficial to the kids? It's nothing. You're just doing this to make yourself look good. And I was so relieved to actually find out that someone said this to him, because it got a lot of other people thinking. And it's like, you know what? You're right. I never thought of it like that. There's no cure. He's not a doctor. He's not a practitioner. He's not someone who works in the science labs. He's not rubbing shoulders with scientists or people who work in pediatric medicine. He does not have any of those connections, and if he does, that still has no bearing on his mission. He's just like anybody else who wants answers. As myself, I want answers. I want to know that before I die, there will be cures for childhood cancer. But I'll be damned if I'm going to make up some bullshit lie and say that I know so much about this, that I can crunch numbers all day long. Well, good for you. I mean, this information, you can do a Google search. Google's free to everybody, by the way. I'm not going to pass myself off as some kind of genius or someone who's very knowledgeable just by a Google search. If I pass along any information to anybody, it's going to be from my own personal experience. And yeah, there were times when I said, well, 1 in every 285 children will be diagnosed or something like that. I don't even remember what the numbers were right off, but it was something to that effect. But I would do the more than 4 thing on Facebook, and I'm still for it. I think, I'm always going to be for more funding, more research. We need cures, especially for DIPG, but all childhood cancers, all across the board. There's got to be some kind of a panacea, and I'm rooting for it. I hope I live long enough to find out what that answer is. But like I said, I'll be damned if I'm going to make up some cockamamie story Um, that's what he does. That's how he wins people over. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people are emotionally attached to this idea that he drives across America. They don't see the forest for the trees. Well, this has never been done before, and I think he even openly admitted that in one of his Facebook posts. Well, this has never been done before, so it is about ego. So it is about, well, I want to be the first to do this. It has nothing to do with the issue at hand, which kind of disgusts me too. Because when I started raising awareness in 2013, that was my idea. I wanted to reintroduce my story of survival before everything, spiraled out of control and went downhill. Um, and I know I've gotten way off topic here about social media, but the thing about social media is people can hide behind it. Um, there's a great deal of emphasis on anonymity, especially when you're not on social media. I find it to be great that people don't have to know what I'm doing every second of every day, which I find to be relaxing. It's like, that ball and chain has been taken off. Those shackles have come off. And while most people think of social media as something that's innovative, I think it's unhealthy. I think people have lost touch of the real idea of being social. And I like to physically, like, not to sound like a creep or a weirdo, but when I like to shake hands, I like to give hugs, I like the physical touch of people. I like to see people, I like to hear people speak, I want to hear their voice, I want to see their facial expressions. I want my five senses to be intact. I want to fully engage with people that I speak to in public, between me, the conversations that we carry on. I want to be able to experience each and every one of those things. Social media does not offer that because you can't see a person behind the post. You cannot see their pain. You cannot possibly know how they feel. You can't see their facial expressions. You can't possibly know. And the truth of the matter is yes, that is very well the same way with email and text message, because social media is textual, just like email and text message. But when I talk to them on the phone, or when I see them in public, it's different. It's different from what everybody else is adapted to, the social media craze. And social media has added a lot of edge to society. The very minute someone disagrees with you, block, ban, delete. Oh, well, we heard this about you. It's on Facebook, so it must be true. Delete, block, ban. That to me is in poor taste, because when you make decisions based on one side of a story, you are throwing away the fact or the idea that there is another side to a story that you refuse to listen to. And while the consensus of the people, everybody's saying that this is true about Jared Fuller or Joe Schmo, it doesn't matter what the people say. They have to prove, they have to demonstrate proof. Just like there is this stink on Facebook about how I was saying something inappropriate to a cancer warrior. And every time when I would come out and I would say, look, I want to see proof of this. Do you have a screenshot of anything inappropriate that I said to anybody? Do you have that? And they can never provide any kind of proof of that. They have nothing to go on, just by what other people say. Well, what other people say is not sufficient enough to be proven as fact. You have to actually prove it. You have to demonstrate. You have to have some kind of empirical evidence to prove your claim. Otherwise, you have no leg to stand on. It's absurd. And I always push for the evidence thing, because I know I never said anything wrong to anybody's children. Oh, I called him a sweetheart. Wow. You know, the way people think nowadays, the word sweetheart is somehow detrimental. People look at the word sweetheart as, oh, he's flirting with me, he wants to sleep with me, he called me a sweetheart. That is really juvenile. I call a lot of people sweetheart. It doesn't mean I want to sleep with them. That's absurd. Absolutely absurd. I mean, do you think you're that irresistible? Come on. I mean, that's a reflection of narcissism. And it's like, well, if you think that my calling you a sweetheart makes you uncomfortable, that's your problem. I'm not, offense is something that's taken, not given. And if you are offended by me calling you a sweetheart, so instead of throwing a fit like a 2-year-old and, oh, he wants to sleep with me, which is making these drastic claims that are just plain ass flat out stupid, why don't you just come to me and say, I feel uncomfortable when you call me sweetheart, please don't. Fine, I will stop calling you sweetheart or honey or whatever. But it's just the way I talk. It's just because I am a very caring, loving, affectionate person. And people will always mistake kindness for weakness, especially on social media. Especially. And do you know why that is? It's because they can't hear my voice. They cannot hear your voice. They only read something for what it is, and then it's this propensity with this, these intrinsic meanings behind words, which words have usages. And if I'm referring to someone as sweetheart or honey or whatever, I don't know if people are purposely viewing this as Jared is, being perverted, or if they really think that. I don't know. It's hard to say. Again, for me, the perception with social media is flawed. In that regard, and it's flawed in the regard that words can be mistaken, they can be misused, they could be, there's that going on. There's the element of when you talk to people. Like if I talk to somebody right now as you hear my voice, as I'm talking to the listeners, anybody who knows me, and I mean really knows me, knows that I have no intention. If I call someone a sweetheart or a honey or whatever, or sweetie, that doesn't mean I want to sleep with them. I mean, it's just absurd. It is a term of endearment. I mean, I know what my limits are. I know what to say and what not to say. Women call me babe or honey or sugar or whatever. I don't mind that. I'm not going to throw a fit like, oh my God, she's hitting on me. I'm a man. Of course, I'm flattered when someone refers to me as honey or sugar or sweetie pie or darling or buttercup or whatever it's nothing. It has nothing to do with wanting to sleep with me. It's a term of endearment. And I'm sad that people have not matured and grown up beyond that. They look at terms of endearment as, oh, he means something perverted, or, oh, she wants to sleep with me. No, that's not it. It's a term of endearment. People can't speak to each other anymore. Do you know why? Because of social media. Social media killed it. That's exactly what happened. And now you know why I don't like social media. I'm off it. And if you have ever considered getting off social media, do it. Do it. And give me a call, text me, email me. I'm sure somewhere out there in the Great Divide, you have my cell phone number, my email address, whatever, my mailing address even. Get a hold of me. Let's talk. Let's have a phone conversation. Let's email. Let's text. Let's keep in contact away from that. Social media has destroyed humanity, and it continues to crumble it. Get off social media. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.